I want to apologize to everybody in here because I am pregnant.
My heart really goes out to that young lady. I'm gonna give a little backstory about myself. Just go back and watch the videos in its entirety. I have not stitched a video this serious in a very long time, but I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I'm being very transparent. That triggered me because I had to do the same thing. I literally had to apologize in front of my church home when I was 19 years old for getting pregnant with my son out of wedlock. And I had to do it because I was a part of one of the leaders in the dance ministry at my church at the time. And in order for me to stay in the ministry, I had to apologize. Okay? Was I the first at my church to get pregnant? No, I wasn't. But from my memory's sake, there was one other person that parents apologized when their child got pregnant out of wedlock. But as far as what I remember anybody else having to do that, I didn't witness nobody else, which nobody else would matter because I only could speak on my experience. I definitely had to apologize in front of my church home. I am 36, about to be 37. That happened in the early 2000s. So I can only imagine how much further back it goes and who has to deal with that today. But let me tell y'all something. For that video to be circulating on Beyonce's internet, seriously, I'm so grateful that the internet wasn't as potent as it is now when I had to apologize in front of my church home. It's very heartbreaking. In my case, I grew up at my church. And when you apologize for something like that to the people you assume love you because they watch you grow up, you know they've been around you, da 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 da, you don't get comfort after that. You get looked at after that. Your church family that was once your church family. One second. But yeah, I forgot where I left off. But after apologizing in front of your church home, especially if you grew up there, like, that hits different because the people, not everybody, you got the very few that's gonna like have your back, make sure you're okay. But like later, I'm talking about in the moment, like it makes you look at your church family totally different, especially as a young person. And I'm gonna veer the conversation to church folks. I'm no longer religion for many reasons. This is one of the few, but I'm not a Christian. I'm not religious. But to those that are in leadership in them churches, stop making these babies apologize in front of the churches if your slate is clean. Ain't nobody's slate clean. It's weird. It's weird and it's kind of like creepy to make somebody young or even old, I don't know, whoever is pregnant that's not married to apologize in front of the church, especially in today's time. It's 2025. So when that young mother and her child grows up, it's possible, it's for real big old possible that her child will see that and be like, dang, so our church made you do that? And the pastor said what afterwards? Religious trauma is real, y'all. A lot of people that grew up in a religious household, a religious background, there's a lot we got to experience. There's a lot we didn't get to experience. We got shamed and they placed Jesus as the person that's just so disappointed in us and we're going to go to hell. Religious trauma is a thing. I really could talk about it for days because majority of my upcoming is in church. And my experience is not necessarily, some of it is because of church, for example, what I'm talking about. But the fact that I grew up in a Christian household is the bigger picture. You know what I mean? But my heart truly goes out to this young lady in this video. I personally hope it gets taken down, but it's already out there and viral and you know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's the thing. Apologizing in front of your church. And I grew up Baptist and had to do that. And in my, like I said in the beginning, in my case, I apologized and I still got told no. And oh, I used to take my dance ministry to heart. You couldn't tell me nothing. And to know that I could no longer be around those girls to let them know my story. Fun fact, didn't nobody ask me how I got pregnant either. My church family don't know if I got raped or was it consented or they did. To be honest, I was old enough to be married. Didn't nobody even ask me if I was married. Nobody asked me anything. They just knew I was 19 and pregnant. I had my son at 20. That's all they knew. They didn't ask, nor which reflects they didn't care on how I even got into that. No counseling, nothing. Nothing. So yeah, be mindful of that. And those who are believers, you know, that are Christians, and you do things that are not Christ-like, please don't beat yourself up. Don't allow these leaders to make you feel shitty. You are human, baby. You are so human. And the God that you serve is faithful and forgiving. So be just as faithful and forgiving towards yourself. Do you hear me? And any young person that's listening to this video right now, don't be fooled by the leaders of the church. Don't be fooled. We all have a past. Don't find a way to shame yourself because your experience is not being accepted by your church family. You are not less than. You're not going to hell. You're not. I promise you. And that's a promise I could keep. But yeah, that video, that's a true thing, and I definitely had to do it. And it did not even work in my favor. Happy Mother Loving Tuesday, y'all.